celebrate Ukrainian Christmas, which is January the 7th. So it's 100% of the fun for 40% off. It makes sense to me. Makes sense. I once went... I like to... I'm funny with the shopping. I'm not sure about it. I once went to in Istanbul. I was in Istanbul in Turkey, where they make the turkeys for Thanksgiving. Hey, are turkeys from Turkey or what? I mean, there's got to be some kind of connection. Or maybe, I don't know, I just think about it. Anyway, I was in Turkey once, you know, before all the trouble. And I was in Turkey, and I was in Istanbul, and I was going to buy a carpet, because that's what they make there. And I go to the Grand Bazaar, and the guy says, yeah, I said, a nice carpet, and he says, yeah, it's $150. I went, okay. And he went, no. I went, what do you mean, no? You just said it was $150. He said, you have to haggle. Decent carpet, I'll give you $150. He said, no, he was insulted that I wouldn't haggle with him. He charged me $120 for the carpet. That's crazy, isn't that crazy? That's crazy. There was once when I was working in Portugal once, doing something for the BBC. I'm glad that's over. I could never go back. Ooh, it's the sound of a bridge burning, I think. I had some time off, so I rented this. I've always wanted one of those, you know, these knives, the scimitars, the big curly knives. They kind of, I always wanted one. I always thought they looked very kind of dashing, in case I wanted to go out at Halloween. So I thought I'll go to Morocco, which is about 1,000 miles from Portugal. So I rented this little crappy French car, the Renault 5, terrible car. It's like the Yugo without the glamour. It's a little Barney Rubble car. It's a little kind of feet out the bottom car. And I drove it from Portugal. I drove it all the way across southern Spain with a girl I used to go out with. What a great girl she was. And do you want to go to Morocco? Sure, she said. And we drove to southern Spain. We get on the ferry, and we go across to Tangier from Algeciras in southern Spain. It was amazing. And it was at night time, and it was a full moon above the Atlas Mountains, and you get into Tangier at night, and there are no streetlights. So it's just like, you know, flaming torches and the light from buildings. And the sound of, you know, the... Fantastic. And people were throwing stones at the car, and I don't care, it's a rental, do what you like. It's a true story. And I get into Tangier, and there's all these kids that follow you around. And, you know, they all say, no, I'll take you around. And there are tons of them. You have to hire one of them to keep the rest away. So I had this 10-year-old kid, 4 languages this kid spoke at 10 years old. It's amazing. And he said, do you want to buy a carpet? I said, no, I've got a carpet, thanks. I said, I want a curly knife. So he said, come to my uncle's shop. So he takes me down these alleyways. I thought, this is a hit. And this is, you know... He takes me down and I go to this store where you can buy these curly knives and carpets. But I didn't want a carpet. He's got these curly knives. And the girl that I was with, they wouldn't let her come into the store because she was a girl. Man, she was mad. Anyway, I go into she waited outside, cursing. And I went in and I got my curly knife. And he said, you have to wrap it up. Because you're not allowed to take them out of the country. I know, and he wrapped it up, and it looked like a curly knife wrapped in a... I mean, it's not something you can disguise. It's like when you wrap an elk. It's still an elk. You know it's an elk. He wraps it up, but if you have it wrapped, then you brave the security guards at the border. They can let you out. Anyway, he says to me, why did you come to Morocco? Hashish? Young boys? I'm not kidding. And that's what he said to me. I said, no, I just came to buy a curly knife. And he said, you're the first Westerner I've met in 20 years who didn't want hashish or little boys. I said, well, that's a sad indictment, but I'm not interested. So I just before I leave, I take the kid and Mrs. very upset who didn't get in the carpet shop, and we go for a cup of coffee in this cafe. And we sit down in this cafe, and I'm talking to the kid, and I'm trying to say, look, I'm sorry, it's their culture, they wouldn't let you into the store, all that. And this guy behind me hears me talking, he's a big guy, giant, big hook-nosed guy, he's wearing the big Arab headdress thing, huge, he's like a Bedouin chief, this guy, huge. And he turned, and he said to me, exactly in this accent I'm about to do, exactly like this, he said, "Hey, pal, are you from Scotland?" I'm not kidding. Absolutely. I said... Well, he said, I learned English in Glasgow at the university there, so he spoke English with a Scottish accent. Anyway, the moral of the story is this. That's what I call a shopping trip. You know what I'm saying? Get in the car, do that, go to Morocco.
Worldwide.